Good evening, folks. Ken Hovind here and the crew at Dinosaur Adventureland in Lenox, Alabama. It is September the 6th, 2024. Tonight we'll be talking about OOP art. What on earth is that? Out-of-place artifacts. Things they find that they should not find where they find them. We're going to talk tonight. I got quite a bit to cover. And John Adolfi from New York is joining us here in just a minute. So thank you for joining us, John. We're going to talk about things that go against the evolution theory. So tonight, OOP art. If you want to support our ministry, we join our 777 Club. Say, I like what you're doing. I'm going to help with $1 a day to help you guys keep going, winning souls. Contact Sandra if you got any questions, 855-BIG-DINO, extension 1. If you want to go to drdino.com, our website, we've been open for free for 8 years, over 8 years now. There's the Genesis Baptist Church YouTube channel. You know, Friday, September 6th is National Lazy Moms Day. I know some of them. Happy Lazy Moms Day. National Coffee Ice Cream Day. Bring Your Manners to Work Day. What happened, Sir Joe? You didn't do that, okay? National Food Bank Day. Anyway, there are two ways to look at the world. Some people look at the world and say, wow, God made a perfect world 6,000 years ago and the flood destroyed it 4,400 years ago. That's the biblical worldview. Other people look at the world and say, the world's billions of years old. Each layer is a different age. Somebody's wrong. Seriously wrong. And artifacts that they find in the ground prove which one's right. We'll talk about some of the OOP art tonight, out of place. The Bible says God made the heaven, and God created the heaven and the earth. The Bible teaches God made the earth, heaven, everything perfect about 6,000 years ago. Then there was a big flood that destroyed it in the days of Noah about 4,400 years ago. The Bible says in the last days there would be scoffers who would be willingly ignorant, 2 Peter 3:5, willingly ignorant of how God made the heavens and how the earth was standing out of the water and in the water. We covered that on video number 2 of my series. What was the earth like? Why did they live to be 900? Scoffers are ignorant of the creation, and they're ignorant of the flood that destroyed the world, and they're ignorant of the coming judgment. So the creation, the flood, and the coming judgment are three things they're ignorant. OOP art, out-of-place artifacts. People look at the world and say, no problem, God made a perfect world. The flood destroyed it, but dinosaurs lived with man. Atheists will say, no, can't be true, it's a hoax, it's a lie, it's misidentified, it's a fraud. They got to do something. Human vertebra found in Cretaceous sediment, and there is no such thing as Cretaceous, no such thing as a geologic column. So here they find in Ica, Peru, proof that man and dinosaurs lived together. Evidence of humans and dinosaurs living together found in Russia, Lagoa Santa, Brazil, Mato Grosso, Brazil, Ica, Peru, Glen Rose, Texas, and Charleston, South Carolina, and many other places. There was a book written in 1870 depicting a hadrosaur on the front cover about the phosphate rocks digging out of South Carolina. They said, this is from 1870 now, not long after finding the above-named relics of human workmanship, engaged in our usual visits to the Ashley bed, a bone was found projecting from the bluff, immediately in contact with the surface of the stony stratum, the phosphate rocks. We pulled it out, and behold, a human bone. Without hesitation, it was condemned as an accidental occupant of quarters to which it had no right geologically. Professor Holmes showed me at the museum a gigantic human thigh bone, 3 inches longer than the average bone of the same kind. It was taken from these same beds. It was a remarkable fossil. Fossil human hands found in Cretaceous rock. So there's two ways to look at this. This is called out-of-place artifact. You shouldn't have human bones there. No problem. God made a perfect world. The flood destroyed it. Dinosaurs lived with man. Can't be true. It's a hoax. We know it didn't happen. New Scientist magazine ran an article. Researchers found several types of dinosaur and were surprised to find frog, fish, turtle, small mammal, and plant fossils as well. Here's a picture of one of the Ica stones, of which 50,000 have been found. Stones with dinosaurs and humans carved on them. Not all have dinosaurs on them, but thousands do. Dr. Baugh has some of these in his museum. In Peru, there's a museum of 50,000 of these stones carved in the Ica civilization, clearly showing dinosaurs. Did dinosaurs live with man? On the side of this building, look at that Nazca lines, the secrets of the Ica stones. You can get this book from, do we sell this one, Sergio, or anybody know? We should get it and sell it. It's excellent, okay? Anyway, contact our office if you want more on that. Oh, Dennis Swift, he's pastor of a church in Oregon. There on the side of the building is obviously a stegosaurus. On my video 3, I cover lots of evidence that dinosaurs lived with man. Our guest tonight, John, said he's got some stuff from Glen Rose, Texas, out south of Fort Worth there, in the Paluxy River. I've been there many times. Carl Baugh has a museum there. They dig up the rock and find dinosaur and human footprints together. Atheists scoff at this, say it's not possible, it can't be true. Can't be true. Yes, it is true. See, giant dinosaur footprints. Here's a kid taking a bath in a footprint. And there's a dinosaur human footprint right next to it. This is a casting of the human footprint right here. The guy had to be 12 feet tall to have a foot that size. Okay? So I think the evidence is overwhelming. We've been lied to about the dinosaurs. To my surprise, the book documents hundreds, not just a handful, well-exposed dinosaur track sites. The dinosaurs running through the mud as if they're, fleeing the flood. See, Noah's flood wouldn't kill everybody in one day. It may take weeks as the tide goes up and down, comes up higher, and everybody's running for high ground between tides. And all of a sudden, they leave footprints behind. All you got to do is let them dry in the sun a couple hours to preserve them, and the next layer of mud preserves it. Trackways, nests, eggs, coprolite of the reptilian masters of the Mesozoic, and chronicled from all over the world. The record is an impressive one in terms of not only abundance and geographical distribution, but also quality of preservation. Lockley and Gillett report more than 400 dinosaur track sites in North and South America alone. They especially note 12 large localities around the world that contain more than 1,000 individual tracks and or more than 100 different trackways. How do you get dinosaur tracks preserved in the mud? Simple. There's a friend of mine in North Carolina has over 1,000 dinosaur tracks on his property. Dinosaur footprints. This is not just once in a while. They're all over, as if they're fleeing a flood with rising and lowering tidal surges. 1848, a geologist representing the Peabody Museum and Harvard University discovered a rock near Niagara on the shores of Lake Gilva, a layer containing fossilized human tracks, 16 to 24 feet below the surface. Flint described the tracks in these words, written in 1884. The footprints are from 1/2 to 3 inches in depth, and none exceed 18 inches. That's a big foot. I'm 6'2" and got a 12-inch footprint. Some of the impressions are nearly closed. It's like stepping in the mud, and then you come out, and the mud squeezes in, falls in, falling back into the impression, and a crevice about 2 inches in width is all one sees. At my first glance, some parallel to one less deep gave me an idea that the owner of the latter was using a staff to assist him in walking, so he's leaving a hole behind. And some of the substance flowed outward, leaving a ridge. Seen in one secured for the museum, the stride is variable, owing to the size of the person, the changing nature of the surface he's passing over. The longest one uncovered was 17 inches, a length of foot 10 inches with in width 4 inches. Arched feet. Steps in a right line, measured from center of heel to center of great toe over 3 steps. The people making them were going both ways in a direction consistent with that of a present lake shore, east and west, more or less. Among these and others in nearby sites, Flint found examples of both barefoot and well-defined sandaled footprint impression. All were geologically dated as being over 200,000 years old. When they say geologically dated, that means they use the stupid geologic column, which does not exist. Okay. Now, supposedly at this remote time, man was nothing more than a naked, hairy creature, capable of chipping a few flints and just beginning to overcome his fear of fire. In sharp contrast, Niagara finds reveal the intelligent use of a walking stick, the wearing of sandals that appear to have been best designed for comfort and protection. We're confronted here with not just a footprint of a half-beast, but rather the footprint of a civilized being. Earl Flint, Harvard University. 2 years earlier, in the summer of 1882, working in a quarry in Carson City, Nevada, they brought up a layer of sandstone covered with fossilized animal tracks, among them a number having belonged to the extinct mammoth. What caused considerable scientific consternation was the fact that several human tracks were also found. The tracks were in 6 series, each with alternate right-left tracks. The stride from 2 to 2.5 to 3 feet. Individual prints were 18 to 20 inches long, that of a giant. The straddle, the distance between right and left footprints, was 18 to 19 inches. The geologist Joseph LeConte read a paper on the investigation done in the tracks and attempted to explain them as marks left by an extinct giant sloth. Oh yeah, that's quite obviously the footprint of a sloth. I mean, anybody can see that. That lived 2 million years ago. See, it can't be a human. No tail grooves in the sandstone. Comparison between Carson City tracks and known sloth tracks showed several dissimilarities. Carson City tracks showed signs that the maker had worn some type of sandal or foot protection. Here we have a trail of human footprints crossing a dinosaur track. These are in Glen Rose, Texas. You can go see them. I've been there many times. Okay? That's a human footprint inside a dinosaur track. He stepped there after the dinosaur stepped there. Well, that'd be the logical place to step if you're running through the mud. Go where somebody else already stepped, even if it's a dinosaur. You don't sink in as deep, okay? Let's see. Casting I have, half-inch shorter. You have an aluminum casting also here. There's a guy tried his foot in there. A guy with a size 18 shoe. I was preaching one time. He said, I got a big foot. Let me try it. Couldn't make it. They lifted out because they found the tracks going right, left, right, and stopped at the edge of a slab. They said, let's pull the slab up. There should be another one under there. Pulled the slab up, and sure enough, there's more footprints. They cut one out, sawed it across the toes and across the arch. Said, man, that's a human footprint. Creationist says, no problem. People before the flood lived to be 900, probably much bigger. This guy didn't have time to put shoes on, so he ran from the flood. Evolutionist says, can't be true, can't be true. We know ancient man was smaller, like a chimp. It can't be human. They just don't get it. They don't want to get it, okay? So, John, sorry for taking so long. Give me an idea what you guys got in your museum, and tell us about yourself up there.
Sure. Thanks, Ken. My name is John Adolfi with the Lost World Museum, and we always start our presentations by asking the provocative and important question, where do we come from? Apes, aliens, or Adam? So there we are. We're in the sleepy village of Phoenix, New York. We have just a small window display, and most of what we do are short and slightly longer than short videos on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. And so that's where you can find the Lost World Museum or my name, John Adolfi. We specialize in Noah's Ark, giant humans, out-of-place artifacts, geological anomalies, fast-forming fossils, fast-forming rock. So we are young Earth creationists, and my wife and I are the ones who run this ministry, and thank you very much for having us on. So Ken started off the program by stating the word ooparts, or out-of-place artifacts. And, you know, I wasn't really looking for the origin of it, but there is this manual I have here, or manuscript called Strange Relics from the Depths of the Earth. And this book was written, or this manuscript was written by J.R. Jockmans, and he's the one that coined this phrase, or this out-of-place artifacts or ooparts. Just FYI. Some of what I have here tonight and are ooparts. Some of them are geological, things of interest, and some that you may have seen before. And Ken, you're welcome to jump in at any time, but I'm gonna start off with the coal with the iron cup in it. Now, this is a second generation replica. And what that means is that they took the original coal cup and they did a cast of it. And then they did a cast of a cast. And Joe Taylor was the one that created this. And the story goes that there was, and I'll tell you what, on the back of this is a copy of the affidavit. Now, in 1912, Frank Kennard and his other buddy were at a power plant in Thomas, Oklahoma. It was an electrical plant. And, they use coal to heat, or power, I should say. And there was a very large lump that was too big, and they cracked it in half, and out pops this iron cup. Well, I don't know if they thought much of it or not at the time, but later on, as it was pointed out, that this has great significance. Now, the unfortunate thing is they never saved the two halves to where the cup was encased. So all you have is their testimony. And really, we have Frank Kennard's testimony in the form of 36 years later. He felt compelled to go and have his testimony notarized. And this is what he said. While I was working at Municipal Electric Plant in Thomas, Oklahoma in 1912, I came upon a solid chunk of coal, which was too large to use. I broke it with a sledgehammer. The pot fell out of the center, leaving the impression or mold of the pot in the piece of coal. Jim Stull, an employee of the company, witnessed the breaking of the coal and saw the pot fall out. I traced the source of the coal and found that it came from Wilburton, Oklahoma mine. Signed, Frank J. Kennard, sworn to me in Sulphur Springs, Arkansas, 27th day of November, 1948. Julia Eldred was the notary public at the time in Benton County. Now, some people, because we don't have the two halves, the critics of this artifact will say that it is that the man lied. The two men actually lied. I find that very interesting, that usually when you lie about these things, you're looking for fame, fortune, some kind of glory, and none of those things appeared to this Frank Kennard. None of these things manifested. Matter of fact, he felt so strongly about it that he went and notarized it, had his testimony notarized 36 years later. Usually people don't all hold on to a lie that long. They could. It's possible. Now, Kent, what's interesting is when I interviewed Carl Baugh, who is the owner of this cup at the Creation Evidence Museum in Glen Rose, Texas, and I had a chance to handle it myself while they were rephotographing it. He told me, and this was sort of like the gush, the drop the mic, and it may not seem that impactful, but I thought it was very interesting. They did an analysis at the bottom of the cup. Perhaps they took some residue out, or they examined what is at the bottom of the cup, and they found coal dust. They found coal dust in the iron cup. Now, you wouldn't be able to know that it was there, and again, I could see the critics saying, oh, somebody rubbed some coal dust in there. I get it. But this was something that was discovered more recently, not something that was directed or pointed out or led to take a look. What's in the bottom of the cup? It was found. So, should this all be true? This cup right here, which they believe was a ladle, they think there was a handle on this. This right here then could have been manufactured in the metallurgical shop of Tubal-Cain 5,500 years ago. The Bible says that approximately 3,500 BC, Tubal-Cain worked iron and brass, and certainly they had iron before the Iron Age. So that's that one. A truly out-of-place artifact that isn't from the pre-flood world that appeared 2,200 years ago is and this is just a small little replica of the Antikythera device. This was found off the coast in Greece, and it was in, I don't know if it was about 100 feet of water, but this was found with a ship that had sunk, and it was all broke to pieces. They were looking for treasure. And in there, they found this thing. I'll give you a little bit of a close-up. And you can see x-rays and a better rendition of this online. But just take a look at it for right now. When they examined this, and they found this in 1902, when they examined this, they found 37 gears were inside this, what was a wooden box that housed this. And those 37 gears could tell the eclipses, the sun, moon, the stars, and the movement of it. It had a wind-up handle, I believe, on it, they think. And what's really interesting is that one website reported that it had the ability to tell you when the next Olympics, because the Olympics were a long time ago, and then they restarted in 1896. So way back when, and it would even tell you the date of the next Olympics. Now, what's really surprising and what makes this kind of an out-of-place artifact, the idea of monkey to man and the progression of intelligence, cognitive ability, the evolvement of that, the assumption that we were stupider and then got smarter. And what they have found thus far, 2,000 years ago, related to the Greeks, they were surprised to find this. they didn't think that there was the sophistication in this arena with the Greeks at that time period. It was really basically art and architecture, but not this kind of technology. I like this out of place artifact. This definitely qualifies.
Well, that's considered, John, a analog computer. It was able to compute all sorts of things. Yeah. I got a copy of the pot from Joe Taylor also. I don't know if they still sell it. Joe died a couple of years ago. I had him on my program here. I think he came to visit here. Yeah, he did. Yeah, we went there, yeah. Anyway, great guy. So, thank you. Okay, what else you have for out-of-place artifacts there, brother?
Yeah, hold on to these things because you can't get them anywhere anymore.
Yeah.
So this right here is something that I found at first a little bit suspicious in the sense that I wasn't sure if I bought into it. This is a replica of the original, and I do have a photo of the original right here. Okay, that right there is a limestone, what looks like a finger. Now, this is out of context. This is out of place. This should not be there. This was found right around the Glen Rose area. There you go. Thank you, Ken. This was found right around the Glen Rose area. And what's interesting is that when you have a stone artifact that may be a footprint, or in this case, could have been flesh and bone at one time, they do a couple of things in order to verify it. One thing, like Ken showed you, the Burdick print, where they sliced it. And what they're looking for in a print is compression underneath the footprint itself. Did it squish mud and squish the mud underneath the print? Or if it's carved, you're not going to see compression. So when it comes to the footprints, that's what they're doing with that when they cut it cross-section. With the finger, they did cut it a couple of times in certain places, but they took a look inside, like right here. Now again, this is the replica, so it's not going to be like this. And they did a CAT scan on it as well too. An X-ray is good, a CAT scan's better. CAT scan can show density. And this is what convinced me right here, the density of the CAT scan. So you've got something right here in here that is a different density than out there. This right here would be considered the area where the bone would be. Thank you. Look at that. Now, what's interesting, and notice the size of this, what's interesting is that I'm 6'2". They think that this is a woman's pinky because of the slender nature of it, which means that this woman would have been about 6 feet tall or slightly taller. Interesting that a slightly, I'm not going to say giant woman, but a good-sized woman. And this was found in limestone. Limestone, which in that area is assigned of age of anywhere between 88 to 108, somewhere in there, million years old, Cretaceous limestone. So that's a little bit about, there's more on that as far as what's inside. I can say that they believe they've identified ligaments and, of course, the bone marrow, where the skin was. Is it just positive thinking and hope? Or is there something to this? I think there is something to this one. But there you are for your consideration.
Well, John, tell me one more thing about this pot found in coal.
Yeah.
The big deal there is they're telling the students in school that coal formed in the Carboniferous era millions of years before man got here. This is simply baloney. Coal formed because of Noah's flood, burying all the trees. Human artifacts found in coal is not a problem for the creationist. But give me one more artifact, and I'll show you a few more things I got here, John.
Okay, that sounds good. I'm going to show you the London hammer. We could talk a little bit about that, but I would like to show you one that perhaps gets overlooked, and I kind of poo-pooed this one at first. This right here was found in 1917, okay, in Nevada, and we'll just call this the Nevada boot print or moccasin print. And take a good look. This is a replica of it. And when you look at and I don't know if I have a great picture here, but I'm going to put this up here. When you look at the picture right here carefully, you can see what does appear to be where stitching is. They say that when you look at the actual artifact itself, and by the way, Kent, I hunted down the artifact. Thank you. The artifact does still exist. It's just that they can't find it. They can't find which box or crate that it's in, but there is a place, historical society, and I can't remember the city, but they do still have this artifact. Here's the thing. Here's what the critics say. The critics say that this is not a boot print or a moccasin print. It's ironstone. So I went and got myself a piece of ironstone. And sure enough, ironstone's got some really interesting, design to it. And I could see how you might want to put this on the table as you're investigating, as a possibility. I get that. However, when I got myself a boot without a shoe, without a sole on it, like it was ripped off, or a moccasin, and I took a good look at it, man alive, this right here looks so much more than what's here, unless this is natural. Okay? If you want to keep that on the table, you can. But that micro stitching is what, and the shape of it, I would say that for myself personally, I would say 80 to 85% that is a boot print.
Well, see, the whole argument is people who believe in evolution want to believe in evolution. They don't want God telling them what to do. It wouldn't matter how many things. If God himself came down and told them, they wouldn't listen. They don't want his authority over their life. See, textbooks will say, put me up there, brother, did dinosaurs and humans live at the same time? Oh, no. Dinosaurs died 65 million years before people. So you look at human and dinosaur footprints side by side, and creationist says, no problem. They both lived at the same time. Finding their footprints together is likely. Atheist says it can't be true. It's a hoax. We know dinosaurs did not live with man. You mentioned the London hammer. I've got a copy of it here also from Joe Taylor, from Carl Baugh. This hammer, found in 1934, found a rock with wood sticking out of it. When the rock was cracked open, the octagonal-shaped hammer was exposed. Partially coalified. The handle was turned to coal. And with quartz and calcite crystal inclusions. Density tests indicate casting of exceptional quality, a unique coating of ferric oxide, which does not readily form under present conditions, appears to inhibit the rusting. So like a stainless steel artifact. Seashells surrounding the hammer were dated at 400 million years old. That's where the baloney comes in. There is no geologic column, guys. It does not exist. Anyway, Battelle Laboratories said it's 96.6% iron. They said you can't make that alloy without extra air pressure or more oxygen. I think the pre-flood world had both of those. So okay. So the Bible says Zillah will bear Tubal-Cain, an instructor in every artificer in brass and iron. This is Genesis 4 before the flood. Creationists look at it and say, no problem. Pre-flood man was probably really smart. They lived to be 900. How much could you learn in 900 years? And you can go talk to your great-great-great-great-great-great-grandpa who's still alive. How much did he learn? So they probably knew how to make all kinds of things before the flood. Evolutionist says, can't be true, it's a hoax. We know man was not around 400 million years ago. Do you have anything about the bell? Newton Anderson, I talked to him several times, found this bell, 1944, a bronze bell inside a lump of coal. They say the coal formed in the Carboniferous era 250 million years ago. Why do you get a bell inside? And the iron pot. Let's see, here's the Morrisonville Times. You might have this one, Mrs. Culp, breaking a lump of coal, found a gold chain embedded 10 inches long in the coal. Here's the iron pot in the coal after it fell out of the coal seam, okay? Creationists look at it and say, no problem. Pre-flood man probably had iron and coal because coal formed because of Noah's flood and buried huge forests. They say it can't be true. We know coal formed 200 million years ago before man got here. So I've been collecting stuff about these out-of-place artifacts. John, the evidence is overwhelming. Man, the world is not millions of years old. The flood made all the layers in 1 year, and things can be found buried from obviously human origin, and man lived with dinosaurs. We see that all over. I preached on this for 35 years. The atheists don't want to believe. You know about this? This one is the zinc and silver vessel.
Yeah, I've seen that before.
Let's see. It is found in Massachusetts. I wonder who has it now. Scientific American ran an article about it in 1852, before evolution became real popular. There is not doubt that this curiosity was blown out of the rock, as stated above. But will Professor Agassi and some other scientific man please tell us how it came there? The matter is worthy of investigation. There is no deception in the case. Huh. Well, I don't have a problem with it. How about the Nampa image? I got to hold it when I was in Idaho, Nampa, Idaho. I found a clay doll found at a depth of 320 feet in a rock layer supposed to be 12 million years old. Idaho State Historical Society had it. I don't know if that's still their number or not. You got one there? A replica of it? Look at that. Can I get a copy of it from my museum? Who makes the replicas, John?
I'm not exactly sure. I think I got this on eBay.
Ooh, will somebody buy one for our museum? The Nampa clay doll. Okay.
By the way, they still have it at the museum. I contacted them, but they want in order to photograph it, they want $200.
Just to photograph it?
Yep.
I see, okay. Well, everybody take a photograph of the screen he just held up, okay? So this is found 1889. Keep in mind, evolution was becoming very popular, taking over everybody's thinking process. But I think God made sure various things have been found all along through history to show it's not true. You have anything on the Baghdad artifact, the battery there, brother?
Oh my goodness. Yes, but not here on our platform, my table here. We've got some replicas of it, but not a working replica like that. But what I want to do experiment is stick a copper nail in a steel nail, and then in a lemon, and see if it'll light a diode. That's one of the things I'm going to be doing. Try that, because that's how it's supposed to work.
Well, here, you're breaking up a little bit there, brother. Here's how it's supposed to work. Baghdad battery, a copper cylinder and an iron bar with a terracotta jar, that'd be clay, kind of, dated to around 100 BC, 100 CE, Common Era. I'd call it after AD, Anno Domini, after Christ. The prevailing explanation is it may be an ancient battery or an electrochemical device used for electroplating or other purposes. The Baghdad battery is one of the most well-known and widely accepted arts, with many experts considering it a genuine artifact from ancient Mesopotamia. How did they know about electricity? How did the Egyptians know to use electricity? Ancient Egyptian electrics, a strange relief carved into a stone beneath the Egyptian temple. It appears to depict two electrical devices connected to a power source by cables. Were they using electric eels to generate their electricity? I don't know, but there's two ways to look at this kind of stuff. No problem. Pre-flood man was smart. Evolution says, it can't be true. We know it's a hoax. They were dumb. We're smart. Okay. They didn't have battery 2,000 years ago. See, Adam came pre-programmed from the hand of God. He could walk, talk, name the animals, get married first day. Then Adam probably walked with God for 100 years and learned even more. Then Adam lived long enough to meet his great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandson, Lamech. How much knowledge could they pass on? Unbelievable. I think we've got the whole wrong view of the world. We've been taught to look at the world like, wow, it's billions of years old. Ancient man was dumb like a monkey, and now we're smart. Exactly the opposite is true. What else you got there, John?
All right. So, this is not an out-of-place artifact, but it does help date stamp geological processes. And you've probably seen this before. This is the old spark plug in stone. That's a champion spark plug. And whether it's the iron that's leaching out that's congealing this, or some other method that it congeals, that is no more than than 20, 30 years old. And it could be even less time than that to form this. But regardless, if you were to see this stone and you were to try to age this without this little date stamp in there, it'd be interesting to see what people would come up with.
Yeah. They come up with a great age. See, they want the Bible to not be true. Jesus chaps their hide. I'd say get some Vaseline then, okay? He's the boss. And as far as things petrifying, the London hammer, what else? Oh, I don't know if you've seen mine. Somebody sent me this. I'll show you a picture of it. This is a petrified pickle. It was found in the jar. They sent me the jar too, but somebody broke the jar in our museum. The lid rusted off, and the pickle turned to stone. Petrified pickle. It does not take long for things to petrify. Here's a mortar and pestle found in 1880 in California gold mines. Let's see. Deep in a mine shaft, it's 9 to 55 million years old. Ooh, yeah, okay. They find human artifacts. Smithsonian, one of the critics, said if Professor Whitney had fully appreciated the story of human evolution as it is understood today, he would have hesitated to announce the conclusions, notwithstanding the imposing array of testimony. Excuse me. The Smithsonian is saying, you should not have announced you found it because it goes against our theory. Ah, I see where Smithsonian stands on this. Two ways to look at this. No problem. Pre-flood man was smart. It can't be true. It's a hoax. We know ancient man was dumb. Smithsonian is responsible for hiding all kinds of things that go against the evolution theory. 1950s, Thomas Lee, National Museum of Canada, found advanced stone tools in glacial deposits. The deposits were 65,000 to 125,000 years old. The director of the museum was fired for refusing to fire the discoverer. You're not allowed to discover things that go against evolution. Tons of artifacts disappeared into storage bins at the Museum of Canada. You Canadians ought to get upset. The discovery had to be killed. It would have forced the rewriting of almost every book in the business. Well, then rewrite the books and tell the truth. This coin-like object found a well boring in Long Ridge, Illinois, 114 feet down. Drilling a well 114 feet down, they bring up a coin. When they drilled our well in January, 300 feet down, they brought up seashells. Here's a fish swallowing another fish. Here's a fish giving birth to another fish. How can this be? Well, there's two ways to look at this. No problem. The flood buried lots of stuff quickly, even in the process of giving birth. Okay? Can't be true. It's a hoax. We know it takes millions of years for things to fossilize. You don't know any such thing. All over the world, petrified trees are standing up. 30-foot petrified tree found in the Kettles coal mine in Cookeville, Tennessee. The top and bottom are in different seams of coal. Wait a minute. They say a forest has to grow, gets buried, turns to coal, more layers come on top over millions of years, a whole other forest grows. 27 consecutive layers of coal indicate billions of years. No, indicates the flood did this. Artifacts that are considered out of place is only if you've been brainwashed into believing the earth is billions of years old. The layers of the earth are different ages, which they're not. The geologic column is stupid, okay? Art can't be right. They must be frauds, hoaxes, and we must protect the evidence. Evolution, okay? Look at the petrified tree standing up. What are you going to say about that? Creation says no problem. The flood buried lots of stuff quickly, including trees standing up. Each tide made a different layer. Evolution says it can't be true, it's a hoax. We know the layers of the earth are different ages by millions of years. You don't know any such thing. They say it takes millions of years for things to fossilize. Fossils. Definition, the minimum time to take a fossil is 10,000 years. Really. To process the petrifying wood takes millions of years. Really, wood doesn't rot for millions of years, okay? The trees in Arizona, petrified forest, 225 million years ago. Here's a piece of wood from Arizona's petrified forest where the guy chopped on it before it petrified. I doubt he chopped on it after it petrified, okay? All kinds of evidence of things fossilizing quickly. One thing all types of fossilization share in common, they require the dead organism to be trapped underneath layers of sediment. This is what makes the fossilization such a rare event. You think it's rare? Curious Mercat in the United Kingdom. If the organism is left exposed after death, it will be destroyed by decay or scavengers. Under the right conditions, fossilization can occur relatively quickly, in the ballpark of hundreds or thousands of years. Well, you need to get up to speed on your science there, guys. Giant dinosaur fossil count. 11,000 dinosaur fossils have been discovered, two-thirds of them in North America and Europe. According to the snippet, Dinosaur Discoveries Are Booming, published a few months ago, 11,000 dinosaur fossils have been unearthed worldwide. Countless billions of plant and animal fossils are found in extensive graveyards. Let's see. Billions of straight-shelled chambered nautilus are found fossilized with other marine creatures in a 7-foot thick layer within the red wall limestone of Grand Canyon. This fossil graveyard stretches for 180 miles across northern Arizona and into southern Nevada, covering an area of at least 10,500 square miles. You're saying fossils are rare? Excuse me? No. The speed at which organism occurs strongly depends on the size. Tiny organisms, eggs or embryos, can actually fossilize quickly, perhaps in a matter of weeks or months. Eggs may be particularly good for rapid natural fossilization. As many marine species, they show adaptations to slow the rate of decay. A good idea if your method of fertilization involves floating around in the sea. In the laboratory, paleontologists have been able to fossilize lobster and shrimp eggs in 2 to 8 weeks. Researchers in Washington developed a method that can speed up the process of wood petrification, which begins with permineralization, in the lab, producing chemically petrified wood in a matter of days. It doesn't take millions of years. Here's a petrified cowboy boot. Have you seen that one at Carl Ball's museum there, brother?
Yes, I have.
Got the cowboy's leg still in it. Here's the way the pickle was delivered to me in that jar. The lid was rusted off. The guy told me, there's this in Anaconda, Montana. David Crosby said, look, we found an old house out in the woods. The walls are falling apart. The roof's gone. And there was a pantry. In the pantry, what's left of the pantry, there was a jar with the lid rusted off. And inside was a petrified pickle. Would you like it for your museum? I said, of course. Who on earth would not want a petrified pickle? I better not. Okay. Petrified peanut cluster. Ripley's, believe it or not, in the Ripley's Museum. A cluster of peanuts growing underground. Petrified charcoal briquettes. Man-made charcoal briquettes. A petrified teddy bear. Do you have one of these, brother?
I do.
There's a place in Czech Republic where there's a little waterfall that splashes real high mineral content water. You can put anything around there, and it'll be mineralized in a matter of weeks. Petrified water wheel in Australia. Turned to stone. How are they going to answer this? No problem. The flood buried lots of stuff quickly. Only takes 24 hours to petrify something. Evolutionists. Can't be true. We know it takes millions of years. You don't know any such thing. It did not take millions of years. There's a fishing reel stuck in the rock. I think maybe that proves they were fishing billions of years ago. The reel in the rock. UTC geology experts can't explain it. Go to the Southern Forest World Museum, where they have a petrified or mummified dog stuck inside a tree. Chased a coon up there or something. Don Brown has the dog. I don't know if that phone number's still any good, Waycross, Georgia. Mummified in a tree. 4-year-old hound dog, 20 feet up inside a hollow oak. There's the head. They named it Stucky. Good name for it. Cowboy boot. Petrified foot still in it. Fish giving birth. Hammer. Coalified and petrified handle. Petrified bowler's hat. Found in New Zealand at a mine. Petrified crayon. A kid sent it to me. I found this fossilized crayon to hopefully help you. I found it in Sanders, Arizona. This is in northeast Arizona. We live in a very dry climate. I found in a fossilized area. Your friend, misspelled, Randall. Okay? Thank you, Randall. Petrified pincushion. Petrified man. The whole man was petrified. He was buried. 14 years later, his wife died. They were going to bury her next to him. When they opened up the coffin, they dug a hole first, and water soaked into the hole. They said, oh, no, Grandpa's in the water. We got to dig a new spot. The occupant of the coffin had been turned to stone. This is 1897, presumably as a result of continued flow of water. 62-year-old widow didn't have the faintest idea what was causing the pain on the right side of her stomach. So she went to the doctor's office where x-rays were quite revealed a surprise, a perfectly formed, petrified skeleton of a fetus. She was pregnant and didn't know it. It's an extremely rare case. said the obstetrician. Let's see. The fetus had been inside her abdominal cavity near her intestines for at least 15 years. I see. I was shocked. They told me I'd been pregnant for so long. I guess so. It does appear that the baby was about to be born when it died inside the mother. A petrified fetus. Let's see. A woman in Rockville, Maryland was taken to the hospital by Brian Lackey of Snowden, Washington, where a petrified fetus was removed and taken to George Washington University Hospital. I met Brian at Oklahoma and Oregon back 22 years ago. Petrified man, 5'7", and weighed 356 pounds, on display around 1900. Another petrified man found in Montana. The man was 5'8", examined by many doctors and proclaimed to be genuine. Petrified. Petrified sacks of flour at Eureka Springs, Arkansas. They turned to stone. Petrified jellyfish. Handy farm devices, 1909, tells how to petrify things so they last longer. They give the formula to petrify the handles of your tools. Petrified teddy bear in our collection here. Who's got the real one? Vance Nelson, Creation Museum, has the real one. Petrified bowler's hat. Petrified coil of rope. I just think we've been so lied to, all brainwashed. It's no problem. This is no problem. Things fossilize quickly. The flood of Noah. The Bible said the scoffers will be ignorant of the creation and the flood. Here's the real problem right here, John. They did not like to retain God and their knowledge. No problem. God, you made the world. I will freely worship you. Evolutionist. That's me. I don't want there to be a God who owns the world. I don't like his rules. I don't like his rules. I don't like him. That's the problem right there.
Can I have a... Yeah, well, I got a story for you I think you're going to find really interesting. I was on the banks of the Paluxy 3 years ago, and we shot this video, and there was so much background noise, Kent, that we could not even make the video. And then AI, wow, we were able to remove the background noise, and we just released a video a couple of weeks ago. Here's what happened. Carl Baugh, back in 1984, was on a speaking engagement one weekend, and 3 scientists show up unannounced. And so he called his buddy, who got his 17-year-old son, Temple Summers, to go down to the small little shack of a museum it was at the time and show them the evidence, the creation evidence. So Temple didn't know who these men were. And so he just went through the museum and showed them the Burdick print, the one that you showed that's all sliced up. He showed them a couple other things, and then he showed them the London Hammer. And when he showed them the London Hammer, he turned it upside down and showed them the back of it first so that they could identify. And they said that, oh, this is Ordovician. And so then when he turned it over, their jaws dropped. Each time he showed them a creation evidence, they would huddle and then talk amongst themselves, and then they would just cast it off. The 3 people that were there, one most people probably never heard of, is James Barlow. He is Yale trained geologist who worked as a professor at University of Indiana. The other 2 was Stephen Jay Gould, and the other one was from Oxford there, Richard Dawkins. Each of them in their mid-20s, they all showed up at the same time together as a group. When I interviewed Temple to get his side of the story, because he was there some 40 some odd years ago, he said it was so frustrating. They were so dismissive about everything that they looked at that it was starting to get under his skin. When they got to one of the prints, one of the footprints, it may not have been the Burdick print. When they got to one of the prints, Dawkins says that can't be Cretaceous limestone. And Barlow, who is an expert in this field, looked at it and said, I don't know how to explain it, but it is Cretaceous limestone. And Dawkins just basically dismissed it and said, that's impossible. And so they left. Never heard from them again. That story was never written down. That was not published or anything, but it's true, and it happened, and I find it terribly fascinating.
Is Temple still alive? Is Temple still alive?
He is, and I'm going to be doing an interview with him to have him tell the whole story as he saw it happen.
Okay, two things. Can you get him to contact me? I'd like
Absolutely.
to interview also. Secondly,
Absolutely.
how do people get hold of your channel? What is your channel again?
So the channel is either John Adolfi or Lost World Museum, and I hang out primarily on Facebook and YouTube in that order. And you can always go to our website, have a look around. We've got some unique things in our store. That's lostworldmuseum.com.
And if people want to come by and see your stuff, where are you located?
I'm located in the village of Phoenix, and our real estate business is right next door to it. So you're more than welcome to stop by. We don't have as much stuff as Kent does at his museum, but we certainly would be more than happy to talk with you and show you what little we do have there on display.
That's Phoenix, New York.
Phoenix, New York. That's right.
Not Arizona. Okay.
That's right.
Brother, thank you so much. I think it's time Christians get busy, and your neighbor kids are being brainwashed. They're being lied to. Every one of you can do something. Brother, I wish there were thousands of little creation museums, one in every city. Start one and just pick a room in your house you're not using anyway. Start filling it with artifacts or copies of the artifacts. Is Joe Taylor's nephew going to continue making the replicas? Because Joe Taylor was making replicas.
I think they shut the whole thing down, Ken.
That's so sad. All that stuff we need to get. If anybody's got some money, want to buy it all, our museum. Can you make replicas, brother? Okay, yeah, we got some artsy type folks here that maybe could do that. So I talked to the nephew, months ago after Joe died, and I'd like to say, let's just buy all of his museum stuff. He had a bunch of cool stuff. Well, John, thank you so much. If you get cold up there in New York, come on down to Alabama for the winter.
I will. Thank you. Thank you, Ken.
Thank you for coming on the show, John. Thank you so much. All right, folks, there we have it. Oop art, out-of-place artifacts. Listen, they are not out of place if you believe the Bible. They're right where they belong. An iron pot inside a lump of coal, no problem. People were smart before the flood. Tubal-Cain was an artificer of brass and iron. So to find an iron pot inside coal that formed during the flood is no problem. You atheists are the ones that have the problem, and I'm sorry about that. You need to get a new religion. Your religion is stupid, okay? It's not true. Man always lived with dinosaurs. They carved them on rocks. They carved them on the side of their temples. There's overwhelming evidence. Dinosaurs lived with man. Get my video number 3 of my seminar series, 18 hours, $50 for the whole thing. When you're done watching it, you can send it back, get your money back. If you can beat a deal like that, show me where, okay? Video number 3 is all kinds of evidence that man and dinosaurs lived at the same time. I got a lot of the oop art stuff on here on video number 3. Please, get them, give them to your friends. I tell you what, for your Christmas list this Christmas, why don't you buy about 20 of those sets and give them to everybody for Christmas? You might change a life forever. Yeah, we'll give you a discount. We're not in this for the money. If we are, we're losing. We don't have, we're not doing very well. I'm open for free for 8 years. Come on. Come down and visit us. Lenox, Alabama, Dinosaur Adventureland. Let me put this back to the front. Put that back up, brother. I'll move over, okay? There's all the channels that we're on. And if you want to get a hold of us, there's all the contact info. 855-BIG-DINO is our... yeah, okay. You better move the camera. Okay, break my neck here. drdino.com, our website. We're on Odyssey and Rumble and a whole bunch of places, okay? They're all listed on drdino.com. If you want to talk to me, 855-BIG-DINO, extension 3. I get calls every day, and I say, hello, Ken Hovind here. They say, is this really Ken Hovind? I said, let me check to get my driver's license out. Yeah. I'm nobody special. Yes, ma'am. Christmas special, 10 of those for $300. 10 sets of these for $300. All your Christmas shopping. There you go. Thank you, ma'am. And pray for one of our guys that worked here for quite a while. Moved on, Rex. They've discovered, he still lives in the area, good friends of ours, has discovered a brain tumor the size of a baseball. So we'll find out what's going to happen in the next couple of days. So let's pray for Rex and Tiffany right now, and pray for those that still believe they came from a rock. We want to help you. Heavenly Father, would you please use the oop art and the information, just use the facts, the truth, to change people's mind about, Lord, you made the world. You destroyed it with a flood. And these people are willingly ignorant of those two facts. And they're willingly ignorant of the coming judgment. Lord, please get them ready for that. I pray that somebody will watch this show tonight and get saved and give their heart to you. And Lord, we pray for Rex right now, that you'll comfort him, give the doctors wisdom to know what to do. Lord, I pray for Tiffany, give her comfort in all this, Father. Help us to be a blessing to them during this time of trial in their life. Use our little ministry and John's little ministry to reach millions worldwide now. In Jesus' name.